Hello, everyone. I have Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I have my AC on in the background because it's about 90,000 degrees. I am in Tacoma, Washington. We get humid heat up here for about a month, but when it hits hard. Anyways, this is a very quick pop-up live class on multi-voice, 3-voice, 4-voice, and more. Specifically speaker IDs, for like court or depositions where there's multiple speakers. I have my cell phone right here recording so that you can see my hands, because I'm also going to give a little demo of Steno Home Row. And then I have my third device, which I will screen share so that you can see my CAT software and, my Steno notes column and how I write the speaker IDs and how I handle, a room of 20 speakers, which I've done before in an arbitration. So without further ado, let me share my screen over here. You can see that. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to, okay, as long as you can see my machine. So let's take the basics. And this instruction is absolutely the basics. It's for anyone who's never been taught how to write 3-voice or 4-voice or more. So I take it that for Q&A, you do either snoo and screw, right? So that's speaker 1 and speaker 2, and I'm on Eclipse right now, but I can also give a demo in case. So my speaker 2 overrode my speaker 1, obviously. So I'll just say, okay. And then I'll write my speaker 1, which is snoo. Now, if you've been taught something different, I know some people who do screw or Jew, J-A-O, for speaker 1. That's okay. There's a million different ways to do it, just as long as you have a system and you stick with the system, it's fine. My system personally is snoo and screw. So let's see. Now, who is speaker 1 and speaker 2? How do you determine who that is, right? So a lot of people in school teach that the plaintiff's attorney is speaker 1, the defense is speaker 2, yada, yada. That can get really problematic when, sorry, I speak with my hands, so you're going to see them right here. That can get really problematic when you have multiple speakers and when it's the defense who noticed the deposition, and so they're the ones who are questioning. And if you don't want to start out with, with screw who's questioning, then you will need a better system. So what's my system? Well, I assign snoo to the questioning attorney, whoever they are. And sometimes it's not even a plaintiff defense thing. It's a petitioner and respondent, or it's an investigative hearing. There's not even really, there's a hearing officer and then a witness. So the hearing officer would be snoo. Okay, so be the hearing officer. And then the witness, the colloquy. What's colloquy? Okay, colloquy is that word that is spelled like that, and it means conversation that's outside of Q&A. Okay, so when the attorneys are speaking to the judge or the clerk, or the judge is speaking to the bailiff or whatever, you know, and it's outside of Q&A, that's colloquy. Sorry, I have an eyelash stabbing me. That's colloquy. So when it says speaker 1 and speaker 2, those are actually the colloquy designations, right? Now, if you have speaker 1 and then it starts into Q&A, then you would have a byline with speaker 1 and then Q, the Q bank, which is the left side, the whole left side. So speaker 1 is SNAO, right? SNAO. So you've got the top, and then the vowels. And then you would do the whole left bank, top and bottom. So just hit the crack of the keys, top and bottom, to make your Q. And then this is the questioning attorney for the start of the proceedings. All right. I changed my settings and it like untranslated so many things that were in my dictionary. So I have to add that back in. Anyways, the first objecting attorney will be screw. There's usually going to be one main objecting attorney, unless it's a medical malpractice and there's multiple defendants who are represented by multiple counsel. Okay, then it gets a little dicey. What do you do if it's just one, if there's just one defense attorney, and then the plaintiff's attorney happens to be the questioning attorney? All right, and then you have the court, and then you have the witness. Cool, that's easy for voice, that's straightforward. And that's what the California CSR is comprised of. So the defense attorney or the objecting attorney would be screw. Objection, you know, calls for speculation. I still don't brief that one. I don't know why. Let's do vague and ambiguous. It's a fun one. All right. Hearsay. All right. Now the court's speaker ID is always going to be this. It's the left bank and the right bank. It's the Q&A bank together. So it's almost the whole thing minus the vowels and the asterisk and the DZ. Okay, so it's just where your four fingers are on the left and the right side. Hit it straight in the middle. So you get the, you know, that's the court. This is the court. All right. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to try to make that capitalized. This is the court. There we go. So my capitalize macro, my stroke, is KPS, like caps. All right, think caps. So it's KPS, and I stole that from my mom, and I don't know who she got that from, but it is not original to me. So KPS, no vowels, right? And in Eclipse, you can define it as a macro to capitalize. If anybody wants that, email me, and I'll send that to you if you have Eclipse. So let's see. If I wanted to capitalize every word, you know, or let's say I was saying the great big catastrophe. So all of those are capitalized because I did the caps stroke after each word. That's the only way I do it right now. I'm sure there's a way to do it, you know, for the whole sentence or whatever, but that's the way I do it. Okay, this was for four voice, so I'm veering off into macros and other stuff. That'll be another class. So the witness speaker ID is the answer with the W, like witness, right? But it's not answer, it's not the A period, it's the witness in colloquy. So if the court is speaking to the witness on the stand saying something, that's going to be colloquy. And that'll be, you know, their speaker IDs will be as colloquy. So let's say you're doing Q&A, Q&A. What time? I don't know. Say again. I said, I don't know. And then the court's going to say, will you speak up because I can't hear you? And then the witness will say, I'm so sorry, Your Honor. So there's a little bit of delay in my in my software. So if you see here, we have, you know, Q&A, and then the court interrupts, and then it's the witness. Hello, Eden. Thanks for joining.
Just thought I would say hi. I
Thank
knew
you
it
so
was
much.
way beyond what I was doing, but thought I would check out what you were doing. I just saw
Oh,
it.
awesome. No, thanks for joining. What speed are you at? Or are you in
Oh, I'm
theory?
not like 40. I'm still in theory.
Oh, okay.
I
This
just like
is-
watching what people are doing because it's educational.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is not it's not beyond, you know, where you're at. This is good to learn at any.
I'm sorry I missed it already, some of it. Oh, well.
I've barely done anything. I spent the first 10 minutes setting up. So
Okay. And who
You're
am I
fine.
speaking to? Who was that?
this is April
Oh,
Biederman.
you're the one you're from this state too, aren't you? From Washington?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
cool. Yeah. I'm in my 19th chapter of 90 in theory.
Okay.
You know, Magnum book, you know, that thing is crazy long.
Yeah. No, I like Magnum. I use a lot of those principles.
Yes, because Braille uses a lot of briefs, as it were, to contract words because it's long. So I'm kind of used to that. It resonates with me. Sorry for the
Yeah.
background noise. I'll mute myself.
That's okay. I will just repeat what I went over, which is very basic speaker
I'm gonna mute.
IDs. Okay. So speaker IDs for voice. This is used on the California CSR, but it's also, I mean, 4 voice and beyond. You know, you can do 10 voice, 20 voice. I've done it before in an arbitration. It was wild, but I have a good system. So Q&A, which you'll learn Q for the Q identifier, it's the entire left bank. So it's top and bottom, your 4 fingers just hit the top and bottom keys right in the crack to make the Q designation. And then that'll be for the question. And then the answer is the right side, your 4 fingers in the crack between the keys. So Q is S, TK, PB, HR on the left side. And then the A is FR, PB, LG, TS. And that's all at the same time. Now, speaker 1 and speaker 2 are colloquy speaker IDs. And so in order to make speaker 1 and speaker 2, you would do SNU on the left side. So SNU for you, Eden, it's SN, which is the very top bank on the left. And then, awesome.
I haven't learned SNU. I haven't learned SNU.
Okay. So yeah, STPH, and then the vowels AO. So it's only the left hand. It's the top 4 letters, and then top 4 keys, and then the 2 vowels with your left thumb. You hit that at the same time to make SNU. And that'll be your speaker 1 colloquy designation. So colloquy is any conversation outside of Q&A. So let's say, you know, let's say they're doing Q&A back and forth, question, answer, and then the questioning attorney says, let's take a break for about 10 minutes, give everybody a recess. Hey, that's not going to be a cue. That's going to be speaker one. That's going to be Mr. Smith or Ms. Jones, whatever it is. So you would identify the attorney not with the cue bank, but with the speaker one bank to go into colloquy to say, let's take a break. So then you would hit snoo, and then you'd write, let's take a break. So, and I have a good brief for take a break, but I know you're in the very beginning of theory. So,
actually, I have I have one for that already. We've already learned that. It's TAIP for us.
Good.
I don't know
Good.
what do you
Okay.
do?
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. I use it every time I'm on the record.
Yep.
Yep. So then also, there are different methods that people teach for who to identify as speaker one and speaker two. The way I do it is speaker one is the questioning attorney. It's not always going to be the plaintiff's attorney. It could be defense. It could be the respondents. It could be the petitioner. It could be the investigating officer at a, the hearing officer at an investigative hearing or whatever. It doesn't always, it's not always straight plaintiff defendant. So the questioning attorney for me is always going to be SNU. And then the first, if there's multiple defense attorneys, the first one will be SCREW with one exception, but I'll just stick with SNU and SCREW for now. So speaker one is SNU. Speaker two is the bottom bank. It's the JAO. But I don't say Jew, I say screw because Jew sounds.
Don't blame. Don't blame me. It looks like we're the only. You didn't get. You must have popped it up really quick because no one really came. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm recording this so
Good.
everyone can
Good.
access.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I've also never given one of these live pop-ups, so I'm kind of happy that I only have one audience member because I'm stumbling through it. So if you hit the JAO, that'll be your speaker two, and that's usually that's the first objecting attorney or the only objecting attorney, the opposing counsel. So they'll say objection, vague and ambiguous. So I'll hit screw, objection, vague and ambiguous. And then when it goes back into Q&A, you have to re-identify speaker one. So you have to hit SNU and then the Q bank all over again. And hitting those two very quickly, you'll get used to hitting SNU Q, SNU Q, just one right after the other very quickly, because you always have to re-identify speaker one. Do you have any questions about that, Eden?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm keeping on mute just because my partner's fiddling around in the kitchen and I didn't want
That's
to.
okay.
Recording. No, I'm good. This is actually very helpful because I don't think that's one of the things I don't know that they teach at the school I'm at very well is like how the stuff about how to, like they're really good at steno. I'm not so sure about the other stuff. And the medical terminology, we learn that in English, but we're not getting as much. I mean, I don't see anything in the classes about this for later, so I'm gonna have to learn that elsewhere, I think. So
yeah, I know what you mean. The mechanics, right?
Yes,
all the little, yeah, right. The so details. Yeah. So okay, so let's say you're doing Q&A back and forth, and so you're hitting the left bank for Q, correct? And then you're hitting the right bank for A, and then you have an objection. So when the objection comes in, you're going to hit screw, and then whatever they say. So they say objection, vague and ambiguous, calls for speculation, yeah, I'm trying to think of other popular objections and I just can't think of them right now because it's Saturday and my brain is turned off. So if the witness,
Maybe like objection refers to something not in evidence, maybe?
yeah, exactly.
I watch a lot of law shows.
Yeah.
I know two of them.
Yep.
Or
Exactly.
leading question, or
Yes, leading. Yeah, absolutely. Any of those things. Okay, so you put all of that after you hit the screw speaker ID, which is for speaker 2. And then let's say the witness speaks right after the objecting attorney, the opposing counsel objected and said their objection on the record. Then let's say the witness says, what was the question again? So you don't hit the A bank. Okay, you have to hit the witness speaker ID, which is the colloquy speaker ID for the witness, which is very easy. It's the A bank with the W on the left side. So it's like WA turns it into the witness : and then you can write what the witness says. Questions so far?
no, I think this will be good, and I'm glad you're recording it, because I wasn't in a position to take notes, so I'm glad it's recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to explain it to.
You're great. You're doing great.
Okay, thank you. Because I know you won't be able to see what I'm writing and all that, so I'm trying to.
You're great. No,
okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so then the witness said, what was the question again? So you hit the A bank with the W key, and then that'll come out as the witness. Then whatever the witness said, and then if immediately after that the questioning attorney repeats her question, right? Then you have to re-identify speaker 1 and the Q bank. So then you go right back to SNU and then the Q bank, which is the whole left bank. And then you say, the question was whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now let's say, let's go back to opposing counsel objecting. And they say objection, leading, calls for a hypothetical. And then let's say the witness says, what was the question again? Okay, so that's colloquy, right? The witness speaker ID, which is W and the answer bank. And then let's say speaker 1 says, Madam Reporter, will you read that back? So that's actually not going to be a Q. That's going to be straight colloquy because speaker 1 is not questioning and is not speaking directly to the witness. Speaker 1 is now speaking to the reporter. Madam Reporter.
And then we have to read back, whether it be from our translation or our steno notes, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And I'm so glad that, we have computers now, because I think it's actually, I haven't quite figured out how to read the actual steno notes if I'm having it translate right away, because for some reason, it only shows up as the translated unless I go into the notes file and print it out.
Right. Right. So, what software do you have?
I have Eclipse. What do you use?
Eclipse.
Oh, really?
Yep,
cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to read it with my screen reader, because my other blind friends, they don't read from their notes either. Usually, they just usually read from unless they're just not having it translate, because you can, some people don't have things translate right on the fly, but I would. I like having it come up.
Yeah. No, your notes column will be open. There's just something specific, I'm sure, that you have to tell your screen reading software to do so that it will actually read.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Eclipse, because they actually do seem, they're the only one that is accessible. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. They'll help you through that for sure. Because you have 24/7 tech support as a student.
I do.
Yep. And for what it's worth, I would highly recommend always reading your steno notes, because you are going to need to know how to decipher.
Read them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to have to be able to decipher your misstrokes and your slots.
Yes.
And
Right.
stuff
Well,
doesn't
what most people do when they're doing the transcripts later, I think, like my blind friend, I'm pretty sure what she does is just print it out like to a different file format. She doesn't even read her notes in Eclipse, but to me, I feel like there should be a way to do it. So I'm going to, get on them and see if it's doable or not.
Yeah, no, it is doable. It is doable, because I have a fellow student colleague who's also blind, who's on
You do?
Eclipse. Yeah, she's her name's Shayna.
I know Shayna. Does she know how to read the notes? Oh, okay. Well, I'll
I
talk to
think
Shayna.
so.
I'll ask Shayna about it.
Yeah. Ask her, because she's been on Eclipse for a while, and she's a California CSR candidate. So
super, because I have my other friend who's a working court reporter, but she's so busy that she takes forever to get back to me, which I understand.
yeah, definitely. So let's see, we just had the objection. Speaker 2 stated their objection, and then the witness in colloquy said, what was the question again? And then we're going to have speaker 1 designation, so SNU, and then that attorney will say, Madam Reporter, will you please read back my last question? Now, something that's a style thing, okay? I'm not sure it's a hard and fast rule, because I've seen it done different ways, but almost all of the firms I work for in Washington tell me that when something is a polite request, you put a period at the end, because it's not really a question. So when speaker 1 says, Madam Reporter, will you please read back my last question? That's a polite request. That's not a question, because Madam Reporter is not going to say, no, I won't, no, I won't read back your last question. So it's, you know what I mean? So that kind of polite request gets a period at the end. That seems to be a style thing, though, and almost regional. So just keep that in mind.
Are you still doing much remote work, or have they gone back to mostly in person now?
We went back to mostly in person now, but I still do about maybe 1 remote a week.
Right. Well, I guess
I'm
it's a good
grateful
thing I have a partner he's going to learn to be my scopist, and he's going to drive me to my freelance gigs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're going to work as a team.
Absolutely. That's great. So, yeah, there's plenty of in-person work again, but also, remote. I don't think that's ever going to go away, especially if they don't have a lot of exhibits or whatever. They don't really want to meet in person these days. So, okay, Madam Reporter, will you please read back my last question? Now, if this is a videotaped deposition, my firms have told me to put myself on the record when I read back, so obviously I can't write what I'm saying and say it at the same time. I'm good, but I'm not that good. So when whoever says, Madam Reporter, will you please read that back, or whatever, I make a little note to myself. All right. And I have flag strokes. Flag strokes or marking strokes are exactly what they sound like. You're just flagging something on the record to yourself, like an internal note type of thing. There's 5 different flag strokes that I use, but I'm not even gonna overload you with all that right now, because you're still in theory. So check back with me when you're in speed building if you want to know what my flag strokes are. And I'll start you off slow with just one of them. So okay, so if this is a videotape deposition, I would, I would mark it. And then I'd probably actually write my speaker ID, which is reporter. I just write reporter twice, ROERT, and that's my reporter, the court reporter, speaker ID. And then I'll just write my little flag. And then I'll know to go back and just copy and paste the exact question that I read from the record. Just paste it right there and put it in quotes. And then we go back to, so let's say I just read the question, and then speaker one says, will you please answer the question? Again, that is a polite request, so it gets a period, not a question mark. And it's back in questioning mode, so we have to re-identify speaker one. So we do SNU, QBank, will you please answer the question, period. And then answer whatever their answer is. Answer. So that is a couple of techniques for, transitioning out of Q&A into the objections and then the reporter reading back. Let's say we're doing, let's say you're doing court. Okay. So you're doing Q&A, and then the judge interrupts and says, will you speak up because I can't hear you? So the judge is talking to the witness, obviously. So let's say we just had a cue. Let's see, what time of day was that? Okay, that's the question. Now the judge says, answer the question. Okay, changing the scenario. The witness isn't saying anything, so the judge will say, you need to answer the question. Okay, so the speaker ID for the court is both the Q&A bank at the same time. So it's 16 keys at the same time. It's S, D, B, L on the left side, and then FRPB, LGTS on the right side. That whole thing, that's the court, all right? It's like almost the entire steno keyboard.
No, unfortunately, we've learned how to press down all the keys, and you do a lot of finger dances in Magnum, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And something I've bit the bullet about is whenever I hit the court speaker ID and I'm missing one key, whatever that one key is, I just put that thing in my dictionary and move on, because I'm never going to stroke it perfectly every single time. And I'd rather it translate when I'm one or two keys off, you know what I mean, than having to go in and edit it every single time. It's like, I've accepted the fact that my writing is perfectly imperfect.
Is that what a slop stroke is? Is that what they mean by slop stroke?
Maybe. I think, I'm not sure. I never
heard that term, huh? I've heard it a few times, so just
I've heard the term. I just never learned what the term was when I was in school, because they didn't use it at my school for some reason. So I
Where did you go?
I went to 4 different schools. I did theory through a correspondence course through Cerritos College. That was a trip. That was very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I used a paper machine, and I would actually snail mail my paper notes to my instructor, and then she would snail mail them back to me with comments and stuff like that. It was very cool. And then
I got that in theory. We get a test and we turn in homework, but they don't really look at it. And I would like that, kind of like, because it's easy, you can analyze your own notes, sure, but sometimes you're not as critical and go, oh, you always accidentally misstroke this. Maybe you could add this to your, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's one thing I don't like. I kind of feel like I'm on my own. I love Kaylee at UHD, but I feel like I'm on my own a lot.
I do analyze my students' notes at Beast Mode Steno, my program.
What is your steno?
Beast Mode Steno. It's
didn't
it's an
know you
online
had.
program.
I
Sorry?
didn't know you had one. Because
Yeah.
mine is, I might not be able to, I don't know how much you charge for yours, but I'm kind of in a struggle and I don't even know how much longer I'm gonna, what theory do you base off of?
Let's talk after this, okay?
Oh, sure, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm just gonna do like 5 more minutes and then that's the like 30 minutes max that I promised for this
I'm
live
sorry.
class. So no, you're fine. No, totally fine. I just don't want your private information on the recorded video. So but yeah, 5 minutes and then I'll stop the recording and then we can talk. So let's see. The court says, so we just had a question and then the witness isn't saying anything. So then the court comes in and says, you have to answer the question. All right. And then we're going to do the witness speaker ID, not A, but the witness. And they're going to say, I don't know. And then speaker 1 will go back into questioning. And it'll be SNU, Q. And they'll say, can you make an educated guess? And then the witness will say, I can't. And that'll be in A, right? Because we had speaker 1, Q. So then the answer that follows immediately after Q is an A, speaker designation. So advanced multi-voice speaker IDs. I do a lot of medical malpractice jobs with multiple defense attorneys. So we could have 4 attorneys speaking at the same time. So, I mean, not at the same time, but in the same job. Oh, God, definitely not at the same time. So speaker 1 is the noticing attorney who is questioning. They noticed the deposition. Okay. So it's usually a defense. So that's why I don't assign plaintiff or defense to any of the speakers, because that's not what's important. What's important is who noticed the deposition and or who starts questioning. So the first questioning attorney is automatically going to be SNU for me. And then the next questioning attorney will be SCREW, so on and so forth. So in a deposition, this is a trick I got from my mom. If you have 4 attorneys or 3 attorneys and one of them is a male and the rest are female, you can have the male who kind of sticks out, right, in a group of women. You can identify them as the court if it's a deposition. And that way you can still use that speaker ID and you don't have to juggle all of the different attorney speaker IDs. The flip side applies as well. If you have all male attorneys and 1 female, the female can be the court because she kind of stands out. Now, let's say we have the noticing attorney and 4 other attorneys. So at that point, I kind of abandon the SCREW speaker ID because I might forget who SCREW is, and I don't do like SCREW F and P and L and T. That's just too much for me. So what I do is I take the first syllable of their last name and I stroke it twice, and that's their speaker ID. So it's very easy to do when you're on Zoom. Well, for me personally, probably won't be for you, Eden. But
because it identifies who's speaking to me.
Sorry,
that's what it does identify who's speaking to me.
Yeah, but I'm saying when the Zoom will tell you who's speaking.
Uh-huh.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
It says
Okay.
active speaker, and I can either have it give me audio of that or Braille, but obviously I probably won't be reading Braille while I'm using Steno. But I could,
Great.
yeah, I can tell if that's what you're wondering. Yeah, that's one thing I love about Zoom is I can tell who the speakers are easily.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Okay. Yes. So let's say we have, let's say we have Miss, I'm going to type it over here just so that I can keep the names straight. Let's say we have Miss Kaluuya, Mr. Arana, Miss Jenkins, and Miss Forsyth, whatever. I just picked out some words. Okay, so, and then the fifth attorney is speaker one, whoever that is. That's Miss Biederman. All right, that's my last name. So Ms. Biederman, that's gonna be Snoo. Okay, so that's easy. When Ms. Kaluuya objects, I would make her Cal. So KAL twice, stroke that twice. And then obviously it's going to say nothing, or actually translate it to California. For some reason, I got to take that out. I will go back in later or during a break, and I will find the first instance of my Cal, and I will change that to be a speaker ID for Miss Kaluuya for this job. Now, Mr. Arana will be RR, AR, okay, which is armed robbery for me. AR is armed robbery. Ms. Forsyth would be force, so FORS, which is the word force. But again, I'm gonna change it, I'm gonna put it in my job dictionary. So I'd write force, and then objection, whatever her objection is. Ms. Jenkins would be Jen, so JEN, which is general. That's my system. What are some crazy last names that you can think of? Just throw some out there for me. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, Eden, but I'm gonna say I would make that Kai's, K long IZ. So that would be your speaker ID if you were an attorney. So I would say Kai's.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, that's exactly right. It makes sense to me. I kind of like that way of doing it, honestly.
Yep. And your video is on. I'm not sure if you wanted that on. It's no problem with me.
I don't care. It's not that I care. I just don't have my camera looking at the right area,
Yeah, I know. I don't mind. I just want to let you know. Okay, so then let's say MacNeil. That would be Mac, and then whatever they said. And so taking the first syllable of the last name usually is foolproof, because you will usually have all different last names that are not similar enough to where you would, like, you're probably not going to have two Jenkinses or two Forsyths or whatever, if if there is something that's a little too close, like the first syllable is too close, then take the last syllable. So Kaluuya would be Yaya. Arana would be Nana. Jenkins would be Kins. Forsyth would be Scythe. And so on. Just, have a system, stick with it. That's all you got to do. And as long as you know what your system is, it'll work every time. Every time. Let's see. I didn't get into briefing on the fly, but the 30 minutes definitely over. So I'm trying to keep these videos short enough. So I hope everybody benefits from this recording. And if you have any questions or requests for the future, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email on the screen. It is Beast Mode Steno Camp @gmail.com. And if you want to get on my mailing list to be notified of future pop-up live classes, I will do my best to let you know more than 30 minutes in advance.
I definitely would want it.
Okay, cool.
Just so I'm prepared. Like I said, I almost missed you because, like, Facebook's been acting up lately, and it's not showing me my most recent stuff right away. So